Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our 25th Sutta class in English, uh, delivered to you by Most Venerable Abulwala Ratana Siritero of Millava Dharma Vijayarama in Kurunegala, Sri Lanka. So I would like to ask all our listeners to unmute your microphones and then listen to the Dhamma talk, the Sutta talk. And at the end of the session, there will be time for you to ask questions. And if you see the QR code on the screen, you can scan it and use it to send Sutta requests. So these Sutta classes in English are hosted by Sangakaya Foundation. So without much ado, it's 8 p.m. Colombian Indian time. Over to you, Reverend Sir.
Good evening. Let's start our Sutta lesson today. Today the Sutta I have selected Kūṭadantasutta. Kūṭadantasutta is in Digha Nikaya in Sri Lakkanda Vagga. As you know, commentary for Kūṭadantasutta is Sumangala Vilasini. Buddha was delivering his Dhamma. There was a village called Kanumata. Buddha was delivering his Dhamma with 500 disciples. Buddha stayed there at Ambalattika mango orchard. There the Buddha was preaching Dhamma. Most of the people in the evening went to listen to the Dhamma. One day, Brahmin Kūṭadanta saw many people. They were going to somewhere, Kanumata. So, Kūṭadanta, Brahmin Kūṭadanta asked his servant where those people were going. Then the servant said, in Ambalattika orchard, Gautama Buddha, he was delivering Dhamma. He was delivering Dhamma, Adi Kalyana, Madhya Kalyana, and Pariyosana Kalyana. That means he delivers Dhamma about morality, sila, and concentration, samadhi, and wisdom. In that way, the servant explained about the Buddha, and Buddha had come from Sakya clan, and he preached Dhamma well. Kūṭadanta Brahmin also wanted to visit Buddha because he wanted to know what are the provisions to do the sacrifice, the virtuous sacrifice. We wanted to know. So he went Kanumata, and before to go there, he sent a message to the people, because that Kūṭadanta Brahmin was the leader of that village. King Bimbisara had given so many properties, money and other things. So Brahmin Kūṭadanta was a very rich person. So Brahmin Kūṭadanta went to visit the Buddha. They exchanged amiable talking, and then Kūṭadanta asked, what are the provisions to do the virtuous sacrifice? Trividan Yajna Sampada. That means who are the capable person to do such sacrifice, and what are the equipments that they need, what are the provisions that they need to do such a sacrifice. Then Buddha started to tell him a past story about the virtuous king called Vijitavi. The Buddha told him that story about King Vijitavi. King Vijitavi also wanted to do that kind of sacrifice. So King Vijitavi asked his teacher, the Brahmin teacher, Purohita Brahmin, asked, he wanted to perform this virtuous sacrifice. So what are the provisions? What are the capable person to do it, and how we would do such sacrifice in that way? Brahmin Kūṭadanta asked from his Purohita Brahmin. Then Purohita Brahmin said, King Vijitavi, King, this is not the time to do that sacrifice, because your country is in bad situation now. There are so many gangs of robbers. They break houses, they steal, and there are so many poor persons, and there are traders, they can't trade, and there are servants who cheat the government and the king. So your kingdom has been corrupted. So this is not the time to do such sacrifice. Farmers, they were unable to do their farming because they didn't have seeds and manure and other things. So the Purohita Brahmin explained King Vijitavi, first you must do the seeds to the farmers, manures to the farmers. So they will grow paddy and vegetables and other daily needs. And you must give the price to the traders. You must allow or declare some prices for the goods or commodity in the country. Then traders, they would they do their tradings and commerce. Then another thing is that you must give salaries to the servants, enough salaries to the servants. Then they will do their tasks correctly, and they would encourage in their task. In that way, Purohita Brahmin explained the king before to do the sacrifice, what are the provisions that he wanted to do. Then king, as the teacher's explanation, king gave seeds, manure to the farmers, and he gave prices to the goods, and he gave salaries to the servants, employees in the government. In that way, they worked well, and soon after, there were no robberies. Self-sufficient country was there. So now, King Vijitavi was ready to do his virtuous sacrifice. How did King Vijitavi did his sacrifice? He did not kill any animals like bulls, buffaloes, cows, lambs. He did not kill any animal, birds, for his sacrifice. He did not cut valuable trees to make hall for the sacrifices, and he did not waste grass to prepare the floor of the hall. In that way, how did he do that virtuous sacrifice? He arranged the sacrifice for the ascetics. For the ascetics came, and he gave rice, gruel, and vegetables, and other things. That was the virtuous sacrifice. In that way, the Buddha explained how King Vijitavi did his virtuous sacrifice without killing any animals. Then Kūṭadanta also wanted to do such virtuous sacrifices. So he asked the Buddha, is there any sacrifice? If there are any other sacrifice that can be done with lesser activities and with more beneficiaries, with more result, other than that, this sacrifice, other than giving the donations, except that donation, whether there is other kind of sacrifice that would benefit more than the former one. Then Buddha asked, Buddha explained what is the more beneficiaries sacrificed. After listening to the Buddha, King Kūṭadanta in that way asked the questions about the sacrifices. He asked whether there is other kind of sacrifice except donation, food, with lesser activities and with more beneficiaries. Then what did the Buddha say? Buddha said that is the building a small temple or chaitya for the bhikkhus who comes from 4 directions to stay for them. That is less activities and it is more beneficiaries for Mahasangha. Constructing a kuti for the Mahasangha, a small temple. So that is a sacrifice. It is with lesser activities. There are no so many activities to do because a small, simple room, kuti, you can build for the Mahasangha who come from 4 directions. Then Kūṭadanta asked whether there is any other sacrifice that is more that bear more fruits, more beneficiaries other than this one, other than building a kuti. Then what did the Buddha said? Buddha said that is taking Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha as his refuge to overcome the samsara. That means become a Buddha, become a Upasaka. He take refugees, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, he becomes a Upasaka. So that is the more beneficiaries there other than this one in that. Then again, Brahmin Kūṭadanta asks whether there is any other sacrifice better than this one. It must be more beneficiaries and lesser activities. Buddha said it is observing 5 precepts. Observing 5 precepts. You know 5 precepts. Abstaining from killing, stealing, sensual misconduct, lying and taking intoxicating liquor. That is 5 precepts. In that way, the Buddha explained him to restrain 5 wrongdoings: killing, stealing, sensual misconduct, and lying and taking intoxicating liquor. In that way, that conversation went on. Again and again asked Kūṭadanta, the most beneficiaries sacrifice and the least activities. That is Buddha said, it is listening Dhamma. Listening Dhamma. Listening Dhamma and ordained as a bhikkhu. Then the Upasaka becomes a bhikkhu. He listens to the Buddha's Dhamma. He understands Dhamma and he is ordained as a Buddhist monk to develop his morality. He developed his morality as a bhikkhu then. How he developed his morality as a bhikkhu? He developed his tenfold of wholesome activities, 10 precepts. He engaged in 10 precepts. He restrained from tenfold of wrong doing. That is as a Samanera Bhikkhu. Samanera Dasasila, 10 precepts then he developed his morality called Tula Sila, Madhya Sila, Maha Sila. Tula Sila means he restrained minor precepts. Madhya Sila means he restrained or developed middle precepts, middle level precepts, and Mahasila, he observe or he takes his high ordination as a high ordinated monk, and he developed his Mahasila. Then he complete his morality. Then he start meditation to develop his samadhi. Before to develop his samadhi, he tried to avoid his 5 hindrances: Kamachanda, Vyapada, Tīna Middha, Uddata Kukkutta, Vichikitta. He tries to avoid 5 hindrances by practicing meditation. Before to practice meditation, he developed his mindfulness. To develop his mindfulness, he has to avoid from 5 hindrances, and he has to develop wholesome activities. In that way, he developed his mindfulness, and after developing his mindfulness, he begins to develop his concentration samadhi. He engaged in meditation. After developing his meditation, he entered the first contemplation, first jhana, vitakka, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. He come to that jhana. Then he developed his second jhana, vichara, piti, sukha, ekaggata. Without vitakka, vichara, and piti, sukha, ekaggata, he developed his second jhana. Then he feels that his calm and quietness spreads all over his body, just like detergent powder absorbed in water. In that way, he feels like that calm and quietness spread all over his body. When he comes to the second jhana, he feels his mind is like a pond of cool water, full of cool water. In that way, he developed his second jhana and third jhana and fourth jhana, upekha ekaggata. Then, when he comes to that fourth jhana, he identifies that his mind is like a pool of aquatic flowers like lotus, lilies. He feels like that. In that way, he entered to the fourth jhana. After entering to the fourth jhana, then he begin to develop vipassana bhavana. He tried to understand anitya, dukkha, anatma. He tries to understand impermanence, anitya, dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, anatma, non-soul, inconditional things, anitya, dukkha, anatma, sanskara dhamma. In sanskara dhamma, there are those three characteristics: impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and non-soul. He tried to investigate his body. He separate his life or his body into 5 aggregates in his mind. In that way, he tried to understand non-soul. In that way, he developed his vision, vipassana, and he gradually developed his wisdom called Iddhivita Jnana, Dibbasota Jnana, Paratitta Vijanana Jnana, Pubbi Nivasanusati Jnana. In that way, he developed those jnana. When he developed his Iddhivita jnana, he can perform then the miraculous tasks. So many wonderful things he can do. He can create mind-made body, like astral body, mind-made body. With that mind-made body, he can go through the stones. He can walk on water, like on the floor. In that way, he can fly as a bird in the sky with his mind-made body. In that way, he developed his wisdom, Iddhivita Jnana, Dibbasota. Dibbasota means divine. Gods have those ears. He can hear sounds, far away sound also. Dibbasota. And Paratitta Vijanana Jnana. He can understand the other's mind. this person has such and such kind of mind. He is very sensuous person. He is very lustious person. Lust person in that way. He the person, his mind is full of defilements. Like that, this person's mind is very calm and quiet. In that way, he can read the other person's mind. That is called paracitta vijnana jnana. Then Pubbhe Nivasanussati jnana he developed. He can recall so many past births, thousands of so many past births he can recall. That is Pubbhe Nivasanusati Jnana. Then Tutupapata Jnana. He can see when the person dies and he is to be born somewhere. He can see with this Tutupapata Jnana where that person is, the person is to be born. In that way, he developed those wisdom, developed that wisdom. In that way, after developing all those wisdom, at last he developed asavak shekara jnana, how to eradicate defilements. So he feels that he understands the Four Noble Truths. Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, Marga. He understands defilements. And he understands the causes for defilements, origin of defilements. And he understands the cessation of defilements. And he understands the way toward the cessation of defilements. Asavak Shekara Jnana. And he understands the Four Noble Truths there. Unsatisfactory is there in the world. The nature of world he understands. And the cause for the unsatisfactory is craving, canker, craving. Then cessation, there is cessation. Cessation of craving is what? That is called Nibbana. Then there must be, there is the pathway to be followed to that Nibbana, to achieve Nibbana. Sila Samadhi Panya, that is called the middle pathway, the eightfold pathway, Sila Samadhi Panya, morality, and again concentration and wisdom. That is called Magga. He followed that Magga and he ultimately he attained Nibbana. Then he understands, I have done everything to cess my defilement. I have nothing to do anymore in that task. So I will not be born anywhere after my death. So I am Arahant. He understands. In that way, Buddha explained Brahmin Kūṭadanta how to do the virtuous sacrifice. Now you can understand Kūṭadanta, Brahmin Kūṭadanta, he was descendants from Brahmin traditions, he engaged in sacrifice, killing thousands of animals. Then he get away from that. Buddha got away from that, and Buddha told him how to become upasaka. Buddha told him about the triple gems, Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Then listening to Dhamma, and he is ordained as a Buddhist monk. Then how can he develop his morality? And how can he engage in meritorious deeds or tasks like building temples for Mahasangha and arranging donation to Mahasangha without arranging sacrifices. In that way, Buddha explained him how to become upasaka and how to become samanera, and how to develop morality, sila, and concentration, samadhi, and wisdom. Then how he developed his jhana, 4 jhanas, and after that I have explained you wisdoms, Iddhivita, Dibbasota, Paratitta, Vijana. In that way, how to develop those wisdom, and if he wants, he can do so many miraculous tasks with that wisdom. You know, Arahant, even Buddha also, they engage certain miraculous tasks sometimes. That way, the Buddha explained Kūṭadanta, Brahmin, how to become upasaka and how he take his ordained as a Buddhist monk, and how he developed his morality, concentration, and wisdom, and then how to become Arahant. Then after listening to the Buddha, Brahmin Kūṭadanta wanted to be a Buddhist upasaka. He told the Buddha, I expect Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha as my refugee to overcome this samsara. So in that way, Brahmin Kūṭadanta, he became a Buddhist, and he invited Buddha and Mahasangha for his donation in the following day. Brahmin Kūṭadanta, he was arranging the sacrifice. So he had prepared it. So what did he do? He released all the animals, buffaloes, lambs, birds, every buffaloes and every cows and every animals, birds, he released them. Then he prepared rice, gruel, and grains and other things for dhan. And his supporters also, ministers also, they arranged so many donation centers to help Kūṭadanta. Buddha and Mahasangha came there and Buddha participated Kūṭadanta's donations. At the end of the sutta, it is mentioned that there is no any killing or any harmful things happen there. So many thousands of animals, birds, they were released because Brahmin Kūṭadanta, he became a Buddhist upasaka, and he hoped to practice the Buddhist pathway. Now, I think the time is up. That is the end of the Kūṭadantasutta. When we refer in this Kūṭadantasutta, there are reveals as a king, how the king must rule his country. He must give seeds, manure to the farmers, and he must give price to the traders, and he must give salaries to the employees. That reveals how the king or the leader in the country, what are the ways that can be rule his country well. That is one thing. The other one is layman, how to become upasaka, step by step, how he developed his sila, samadhi, panya, and he eradicated his defilement, and he developed his wisdom and becomes arahant. I think the time is up now. This is the end of the Kūṭadantasutta. Thank you very much for listening to me. Blessing of the triple gems be showered upon you.
Much merit to you, Reverend Bulwalathero, for another interesting and informative sutta. We discussed the Kūṭadantasutta, a shorter sutta than before, but we do ask our Dhamma listeners, if you do have any questions and you are in the Zoom meeting, you can unmute your microphone and ask your question. Or you can also send us your question or requests for suttas. If there are any suttas that you wish to learn more on, you can send the name of the sutta through the QR code that appears on the screen, or the link that had been shared in the social media platforms. So much merit to all our listeners as well for being here and joining us in listening to Sutta in English. So we do have a little bit of time if you have any questions. I'll move on to the YouTube channel where we are live streaming this session to see if anybody's posted questions there. Please feel free to unmute your microphone and ask questions if you do have any. Okay. We do not have any questions on the live streaming YouTube forum or on the Q&A, Sutta requests and questions sheet for now. But if you do send us your questions, we will make sure to address them in our upcoming Sutta classes. So with that, oh, there is. All right, it's an acknowledgement. You're most welcome, Dhamma listeners. So we will conclude our 25th Sutta class for today, a shorter class, but I hope that it gave you some food for thought, especially in the current times, and that you will decide on how to continue in your own practice. There's quite a lot of interesting themes that kind of resonated with me as well in practicing our own mindfulness and so on. So much merit, and thank you very much, esteemed teacher, Venerable Bulwal Ratana Siddhithero, for your effort in sharing your knowledge with us. Even though it's quite difficult, we are facing very difficult times. So much merit to you, and much merit to all our Dhamma listeners for taking some effort and time to listen to the Dhamma. So have a good night, everyone, and we will meet again in our 26th Sutta class next week, Friday, same time. Good night. I'll end the meeting now, Reverend Sir.
Okay.